Time to talk about a woman. It is not entirely a man's world, as it is easy to figure out, not even in the various areas of popular music. My name is Matthias Merkelbach, and I welcome you to the third episode of Neverland, my channel about forgotten records. And if not entirely forgotten, at least slightly ignored, like the record I would like to talk about today. I am not a native English speaker, though I am using the language to address an international audience, and you may hopefully excuse my little flaws and mistakes. Eagles, Kiss, Black Sabbath, Alice Cooper, Marillion, or Supertramp, these are not exactly the artists, and this is not exactly the music that appeals to me. It never does. I was always looking a little bit more for those outsiders, the works of popular music on the periphery of the music business. And this is what this channel is all about, to make their works a bit more visible for future audiences. Today, my presentation is about China Moses, a jazz and soul singer from France. She is the daughter of Gilbert Moses and Dee Dee Bridgewater. The first one was a movie and television director from the US who, during the age of blaxploitation movies, early 70s, came out with a movie entitled Willie Dynamite by himself, a crime drama in the fashion of Shaft or Coffee. Dee Dee Bridgewater is a highly popular and well-respected jazz singer from the US as well. She debuted with her album Afro Blue in 1973, got accompanied by Japanese jazz musicians in Tokyo, Japan, and also got the help from jazz giant Horace Silver. During 1976 and 1980, Bridgewater was famous for being part of that disco soul movement in the US. And in 1978, she put out an album entitled Just Family. On the front cover, there was a photograph of her being naked and pregnant with her daughter, China. China has been born in 1978 and started her career in the music business in 1996 as well, in France, where she and her mother located during the 80s. So China has a great voice for singing by herself. And so the first 10 years until the midst of the 2000s, she brought out a string of albums in the area of R&B, swing, electronically driven neo-soul. In 2009, she reinvented her career, though, when she cooperated with French musician Raphae Lemonnier, and the two of them brought out an album that paid tribute to classical jazz singer Dinah Washington. And also the whole approach on the album, how it sounds and how it was made, is very classical as well. China Moses gave that well-known jazz songs of Dinah Washington, a new voice. And she could do that. She had the talent and she had the format to do so. It was very well received and very highly respected amongst jazz audiences and jazz critics as at the time. And you may say that this was kind of a breakthrough for her. So she cooperated with Raphae Lemonnier once more, brought out an album, Crazy Blues, a couple of years later. The album I would like to talk about today, and I would like to present to you today, is the follow-up, which is entitled Nightingales. No, wait a minute. It's not entitled Nightingales, it's Nightintales. What does that exactly mean? Is that about the tales that she would like to tell that are presented in a similarly beautiful voice like the nightingale obviously has? Is this about tales from the night? Because that obviously suits jazz and blues songs very nicely. You see, the little exchange of just one letter in this particular word, nightingales, really opened up a whole new world. And I really like that kind of thinking and rethinking about this title of her album from 2017. 11 songs on it, and there is not a single song I dislike. You probably have that kind of listening experience yourself when you figure, that's a tricky album. It needs 3, 4 listening sessions before it clicks or it doesn't. Not the time when I first listened to Nightintales. It immediately got me. I was hooked from the very first second. I liked that album from the very start. It's not that difficult to get into it if you enjoy classical, jazz, and soul music. But you may expect to hear something that you could label retro soul. You know, Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings, who were just coming out with a variety of wonderful albums, and most of them sound like you just get transferred into 1966 once more, which always puts a smile on my face. But it's different with China Moses. I never would say that this soul jazz crossover that you will find on Nightintales is labeled retro soul. It isn't. There are certain elements of production, certain elements of sound, the keyboard sounds, for instance, that definitely are totally 21st century. Another thing with that album is she has such a variety of phrasing in her singing. It's absolutely wonderful to listen what she does with her voice. She pulls so many different things out of her bag of tricks. It's amazing. It's an album that for sure changes from song to song, sometimes within a song, and that constantly will surprise you. After 8 years in my collection, I still love to get back to that album. It's totally exciting to listen to it each and every time. And when we got to jazz, vocal jazz, especially to jazz songs, in my book, this is also about the lyrics. Also, when I'm listening to classical jazz artists like jazz singers like Dinah Washington, Sarah Vaughan, Nina Simone, or Billie Holiday, it's all about the lyrics, or it's partly about the lyrics. Of course, I like to hear the music as well, but I like to hear what these women have to tell me. Similar with China Moses. And there is one song I especially like, which is called Disconnected. The song is about the way that we just deal with virtual reality, with social interaction in these virtual rooms, with that addiction of ours to the smartphones. And it starts like that. Flashing lights, grab my phone, better check what's going on, want to know what they say, what's the outfit of today, and so on, until she comes to the conclusion, I want to be disconnected, because being part of that is so exhausting. It's stressing me out to an extent that I really would like to separate from this particular world I'm in, because it doesn't give me anything back. So that's a great song. I really like the lyrics. All of these songs had been written by China Moses and Anthony Marshall, her collaborator on this album. So check it out. That's my presentation of the day. China Moses and Nightintales, a great album published on MPS, which means Musikproduktion Schwarzwald. It's a legendary German label that released a string of jazz and pop and classical albums in the late 60s and early 70s from international artists. It's very famous among jazz collectors because of the string of fusion albums that you may find if you dig deep into the catalog. The label had been relaunched a couple of years ago, and it's great that China Moses now is part of that catalog as well. If you like what I had to say about her, and if you like what my attitude is towards pop music, you may hit the subscribe button and we will see each other next time. Would be very nice. I'm doing a little bit of traveling within the next 2 weeks, so you have to wait another 2 weeks for the next episode of Neverland, but then I will surely continue. Until then, I say bye bye.